Good evening, everyone. Embrace growth. Cultivate a mindset of continuous learning and self improvement. Step outside your comfort zone and embrace challenges. Nurture your well being. Prioritize physical and mental health. Exercise. Nourish your body with wholesome foods and practice mindfulness or meditation. Define your purpose. Identify your passions and values and align with your actions with your purpose and find true fulfillment. Build strong relationships and connect others with others authentically and nurture meaningful relationships with family, friends, and your community. SEMS Welfare Foundation, a registered non-profit organization, is dedicated to the social impact across various sectors. We focus on education, particularly skill development and entrepreneurship. Through our initiative Digi Saksham, we have created training programs in IT, finance, retail, and entrepreneurship, impacting over 6,000 individuals. We are currently upskilling inmates in Haryana jails and collaborating with the universities and colleges. We have also partnered with banks to place over 1,500 candidates in jobs. So, in just a short time, SEMS has established itself as a force for positive change, equipping individuals with the skills for employment and promoting women's leadership in various industries. So, this session is also collaboratively organized by Digi Samaksh. Digi Samaksh is a company that empowers the businesses to empower the businesses through data and technology. We offer a wide range of services including IT, software, data science, research, consultancy, data analytics, and marketing. So, without further ado, let me introduce the speaker of today's session. So, we have with us Siji Verghese, who is a CEO, Leaders in Lipstick. Has around 26 years of experience in corporate space, in pharma, and also in L&D banking domain, and she has conducted over 1,000 workshops with around 80,000 participants across the globe. So her 40 is in leadership women centric programs, and she's also an ISCF certified coach and master coach, and is also a mentor. She has been featured in a book, Magical 40 at 40, and she has spoken on international prestigious platforms like 3 into TEDx, International Lions Platform, etc. And she has received awards like Karmaveer Chakra from United Nations, International WEE, Women Excellence Empowerment, Rising Women Award, etc. And Siji ma'am is currently involved as a principal consultant to a couple of organizations and to measure the ROI in the training and development. Her hobbies include traveling to the less known places and also tasting the local cuisines across the globe and also storytelling. She has acquired around 18 international certifications such as ROI methodology from the ROI Institute of USA and also certified in LLP, master practitioner, associate certificate coach from International Coach Federation, to name a few. So, without further ado, let me welcome Miss Siji Verghese to our session. Over to you, ma'am. Siji ma'am.
Thank
Yes,
you,
ma'am.
Bhadra. Thank you so very
Thank
much.
you, ma'am.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Glad to see you all in here. And I'm so happy that every one of you has taken off their time to be here for this knowledge session. Okay, cool. Good evening, everyone, and welcome so very much. Let me just take the opportunity to just quickly share the slide as well. So, a quick round of check with everyone in this room. How is the energy level? If 5 being the highest and 1 being the lowest, how do you rate yourself on your energy level? So can I have a quick round in the chat box with everyone writing in? I'm a very 5 on 5 because I'm super thrilled to be amongst all of you. Just want to quickly check with each one of you, where do you see yourself with your energy levels? So I'm going to be checking in the chat box, and I'm looking forward to everyone's reply there. Good evening, everyone. I see some messages. Good evening, everyone. So Bhadra says a 5 on 5, so she gets a virtual chocolate because she's the first one to reply in the chat box. Let's see some more of you replying on the chat box so that I understand everyone's with me here. Happy evening, good evening, and Ravi Shankar also says a 5 on 5. So let's hope that The rest of you who have joined in, I see many of you in here. Only that I can see Badra's face. Anyone and everyone who would like to keep your videos on, please feel free to do that so that I can see most of you out there. If you're in a space to keep the videos on. Okay, so Monica, what are you? 5 on 5, 1 on 5, 2.5 out of 5. So I was just quickly checking the meter here and the energy levels here because it's 7 p.m. and I know we could be a little down on our energies. Okay, so welcome for the ones who've joined in now. I'm just going to be taking you through a very, very interesting piece. So what is it? How to unleash your best version. So quick question here. I am looking at something which is more interactive and not just me talking. So asking each one of you, if I were to ask you this question, how much does a person utilize his potential in his lifetime? How much percentage of his does a human being, an average human being, how much of his potential does an average human being utilize in his lifetime? Anybody who can give in an answer? I'm at the chat box looking out for answers. Are we good to keep it as an interactive session, Badra, or is it that all you want only a monologue?
Yes, ma'am. Interactive, ma'am.
Interactive. So Ravi Shankar says 60%. Any more numbers that we can see from the audience here? 50%. Okay. There's a 60-50. Now you'll be shocked to hear it's just 9%. It's just 9%. Did you know that you just use 9% of your potential through your lifetime and 91% you take it along with you to the grave? Now, wherever you have used your 9%, you reach wherever you are. Imagine if you were to use a 50 and a 60%, as Ravi Shankar and Badra has said. I'm sure we will be surprised to see who's the person on the other side. We wouldn't even be able to identify or recognize ourselves because we would be an absolutely different person if we had to use 50, 60. So I'm going to ask each one of you, forget 9%, forget 50%, at least use another 10% more of yours, somewhere around 20%, and see what can be done. So here's what is important. Many a time, we find it difficult to keep pushing and checking on our potential. So a quick question, what do you think is the first and the most biggest barrier that's there to exploring our full potential? Any answers there? Please feel free to unmute yourself and speak up also, because I see we're just 15, 16 of us in the room. So we can keep it as interactive as possible. You all love to see videos, right? Okay, so I don't see any replies on the chat. So I'm going to be taking you through the presentation as well. So very important to understand how do we go around and unleash our best version. And I'm just going to decode the Eureka moment for everyone. So how many of you remember this gentleman from the screen here? Who's the first one who put in the Eureka? Anybody here? Okay, Ravi says circumstances. I'll keep it at that. Thank you for your response. So thank you for all the ones who are responding in. Yeah. So anybody knows who's the person who started with the Eureka? Who's the one who rushed out from his bathroom shouting out Eureka, Eureka? Ta-da! Who's the person who said Eureka, Eureka? Anybody? Oh my God, you guys are all knowing the answer, but you're not wanting to share it. So I'm going to be thinking that you do not want to have an interactive space. I'll keep talking. It's so boring to hear me only talking, right? Okay. So Badra, tell me, who's the one who said Eureka, Eureka? Have you learned it in the school, right?
Yes, I don't remember the name exactly.
Archimedes. You remember the
Okay.
Archimedes principle?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Yeah, the
I remember.
principle of buoyancy. Now he discovered something while he was in the shower in the principle of buoyancy, and he
Yes,
said,
yes,
Eureka,
I
Eureka,
have
I
heard.
found the answer. So now today what I'm going to take you through is an interesting piece which is called as the Eureka. And I'm going to be unwrapping or decoding what each alphabet stands for in Eureka. All right. So how do we go about? So the very first thing, E, is to eliminate your SLBs. Now, anybody knows what is an SLB? No. Thank you, Badra, for that confirmation. So I'm going to be giving on here. Now, this is a beautiful story of a farmer with his 3 donkeys. And this farmer is going to the market with his 3 donkeys to sell off the donkeys. Okay. On the way to the market, he finds a nice little river. And he thinks to himself, wow, I just need to have a nice little dip in the river because it's so warm and welcoming. And so he decides to take a dip, but before taking a dip into the river, he decides that he needs to tie his 3 donkeys to something so that the donkeys do not run away. So he finds in his bag just two ropes. And he had how many donkeys? He had three donkeys with him. So he goes and searches for one more rope so that he can tie his third donkey as well. But he searches far and high, but he does not get a does not get a rope. And so he goes on to check a little further, and he finds a yogi, a sadhu, a Gyani yogi sitting there, who was in his trance. He just wakes him up from his trance and asks him, "Sir, do you have a piece of rope or any thread? Because I want to tie my donkey up." So the yogi says, "No, I don't have thread or I don't have a rope, but I definitely have a technique with which you can tie your donkey up." So he was very thrilled and he said, "Okay, give me the technique." He said, "Nothing. You go tie your first donkey up, go tie your second donkey up, and do the action of tying the third donkey." So he was a little taken aback with that kind of an technique, but he said, "Okay, this guy is a smart, wise old Gyani yogi. Let me take his words and see what happens." So he ties the first donkey, ties the second donkey, and acts as if he ties the third donkey too. Very skeptically, he moves to the river to have a dip. And after he finishes the dip and he comes back, he's super surprised to see all the three donkeys are exactly where he had them. So he untied the first donkey, untied the second donkey, and he patted the third donkey that's "let's go." And all the and he just leaves from that space. A little while later, he looks behind and he finds that there are only two donkeys. And he finds that his third donkey is missing. What do you think? Where was the third donkey? Anybody? Where do you think was the third donkey? Why the donkey was not along with him? Yes, Bhadra, would you know? I'm sorry I'm picking on you because you are the
It
only one I can
went
see.
away. The donkey went somewhere else.
No, he keeps searching for the third donkey and he finds the third donkey is exactly the same place where he had tied it. And so he goes there, begs, pleads, pushes, kicks, pulls. He tries his level best to get the donkey off, but the donkey does not move. So he goes to the Yogi Baba and says, "This donkey doesn't move. What do I do?" So he says, "Nothing. You just simply untie it." So he was like, "You know, and I know that the donkey is not tied up." And the Yogi Baba says, "Exactly. You know, and I know that that the donkey is not tied up, but the donkey does not know." Right? So he goes there, gets back, unties the donkey, and to his surprise, the donkey starts following him. Now, a very important lesson here is that how do you go about doing this? Why was the donkey actually feeling tied up? Because of what? Why did the donkey not know that it can move? Yes, Bhadra, I'm sorry. I'm going to keep picking on you and listen until you kind of explore the option of telling others to start up with their cameras or be on the space here. Yeah. So I see Sufia also. Yes, Sufia, what do you think that the reason why the donkey did not budge at the first way when after the farmer tried begging, pleading, and had to do till he actually shows up the action of untying? Okay, so it's fear of what?
The donkey doesn't know the way, so maybe he's afraid of exploring.
Okay, cool. That's one thing. But the most important thing here was the donkey did not know it was untied. So, what is important was the mindset. Somewhere in the entire piece, it was always feeling that it is tied up. So, unless and until it was not untied, the donkey would not budge, right? So, many a time in our own lives, we are like the donkeys, right? We have a lot of these self-limiting beliefs. I asked you what is the SLB? SLB is nothing but the self-limiting beliefs which do not serve any purpose anymore, but we can still set in. Absolutely right. Mindset, Sufia. So the mindset that you have makes all the difference, right? Today we talk about how one person makes a cut above the other person. And everything and anything has to do either with the attitude, mindset of the person, and that's about it. So, very important to ask yourself, is there any self-limiting beliefs that I'm still holding on, which is not allowing me to move ahead and get into my best version? Right? So that's a very critical, important piece to keep checking on your answer, whether if there are any self-beliefs that I have that which is not helping me to move ahead in my life, not allowing me to uncover the best version of me. It's not allowing me to see what's the potential that I have with me. So if you have any of those, reflect on to yourself, see what are some of the beliefs that's not serving you anymore and work on them. when you work on those beliefs which are not serving you, trust me, you will be amazed to find a new you waiting at the other side. So if you're ready to wait and see that, see, today you're going to be investing 1 hour with me. And if there's nothing that you take away from this 1 hour, then obviously your 1 hour and 60 minutes is absolutely a waste investment, right? So you see what takeaways you can take, maybe just one takeaway or maybe just two takeaways, but whatever it is, it should be something that you work on yourself so that you get at least a tad bit better than what you were yesterday. So, do you know who are the ones who keep this, or why do we still keep stuck to the self-limiting beliefs? Who's the one who stops? What stops you from breaking through these self-limiting beliefs? What stops you from breaking through this self-limiting belief? Anybody?
Lack of confidence, ma'am. Confidence is less.
Yeah, lots of things. And Badra, nobody but you yourself is the one who comes in the way of your own progress, right? So we always tell it someone else. No, yeah, absolutely, Ravi Shankar. So many things: self-esteem, self-worth, self-confidence, self-doubt, you name it. But everything is to do with self, yourself. You're the one who comes right in front of yourself to be not able to uncover the best version of yours. As you rightly know, it's a fear. Maybe you're not, you're feeling scared in yourself. How can I face the new me? Though you want to see the new me, you want variety and you would like to see things which are like new, but you like to see new and change things around you, but not in you. In us, it's like very scary. Oh my God, that means you have to be outside your comfort zone, right? Okay, so the very first alphabet E is over. Now we come to Eureka's U. Uncover your best version. How many of you have seen this video of the marshmallows? I did not know, but I'm going to play this for you. Let me just share the sound for the video. So let me share computer sound. Okay. Do let me know if you don't hear the video sound, put me on a message. Yeah, Badra, or you could just tell me, right? So let me give you a gist about this video that you're going to be watching it. This is a true real-time experiment that was being conducted on 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, and 5-year-olds. And what they were doing is, in the West, marshmallow is considered to be a favorite sweet that they all love, right? So they were given the task that if you are given one marshmallow and you do not eat it for the next 20 minutes, you are given another marshmallow too, okay? So that's a challenge. And you can imagine, like, if there's a piece of chocolate and you have to resist it for like few hours, how difficult it can be. It's the same thing with these children. So let's see this experiment and how does this work. So Badra, let me know if the voice isn't coming, okay? I'm sure you might have enjoyed this video, isn't it? You can tell me what that video was actually trying to show. What was the message that this video wanted to show it? So I have some responses in the chat box. Self-belief to know about self-control. Absolutely, Ravi Shankar. It's all about instant gratification. So if it was people who waited for 20 minutes and then they get the reward. But if you're looking for instant gratification or quick wins, right? Shortcuts, as they say, you do not reach up to where you have to reach it. So very powerful message, especially, absolutely, it's trying to check the patient level of even the adults, if the adults were. So this was a very beautiful experiment that they went on to carry out with the same students who were a part of this experiment after 18 to 20 years of their existence. And they had some remarkable study that comes out, some beautiful learnings. And it said that children who were able to wait for 20 minutes or so for the next bit of the marshmallow, they did extremely well in their studies. They did not have any drug abuse or any addictions. They did good in their grades. They did not have any criminal offenses or anything. They were very good with their relationships too. But kids who could not do till there, and who looked in for instant gratification fell into substance abuse, not so good grades out there, had relationship issues, and so many things. So what came out of it was like, whenever we look for quick fixes or short cuts or quick wins, it doesn't really work. What is needed to remember is that we need to put in the effort. So many a time we do not put in the effort of fearing multiple things. And like Badra said, there's a sense of fear. So very important question to ask yourself, like how do we say, what do we say that when we are confident and we are believing in our own self-worth, it is very critical and important while you are trying to unleash the best version of yourself, right? But if you have self-doubt, if you fear that you're not good enough, or if you feel that you can't do it, probably you will never make it there. So the first and foremost thing is to be confident in yourself and believe in yourself. If you do not believe in yourself, who should believe in you? There'll be nobody who will want to believe, and unless and until there's someone who's so close to you who wants to believe that you're good with what you're doing. But if you yourself do not believe in yourself, if this is what you perceive about yourself and this is what you portray outside, then people around you also may feel the same thing. They also may find that you're underconfident. And it's so important to look at yourself in the mirror and check. Do I look at the mirror and I feel there's this person who's standing on the other side, feeling underconfident, having a lot of self-doubt, having self-worth issues? Then the person on the other side who is looking at this person is also feeling the same, because this is what you exhibit, this is what you let out, right? So underconfidence, self-doubt, disbelief, all of these are that comes out. So very carefully, you have to be mindful that what I see in the mirror is to be a confident me, and I need to be knowing that I believe in myself. So that's very important in the space of unleashing your best version. And with that, we go to another very important one, which is the R, which is like reprogram your thoughts. So we have 15 years, 20 years, 25 years, whatever age that we are today, we have so much of so much of wiring inside our thoughts. We are wired in a certain way. And our wiring comes from our upbringing, from our peers, from our school teachers, college teachers, from our ecosystem and the environment that we are in. So we get conditioned. Okay, you want to please share the previous slide. So I'm just going by Sufia's request on the, sorry. So here, is this a slide that you wanted, Sufia? I'm assuming it's a yes. Okay, cool. So here goes. Is there something that you like to reflect on, share, or speak on? Please feel free to do that. Thank you. Always welcome. So with your permission, may I move on? Okay. Yeah. So we're talking about reprogramming your thoughts. So a quick question here. Anybody knows the number of thoughts that we process in a single day? Anybody? An average human being, how much thoughts do we process in a single day? Don't give me the number like unlimited, uncountable, limitless, infinity, and stuff like that. Just give me a ballpark number if you can. Anybody who knows the answer.
100.
72,000, Ravi Shankar says 100. Somebody says, okay, here is what they say. Thank you for your responses, both of you. Virtual chocolates, that's the best that I can give you from here. So here's the answer. The psychologists say we process one thought per second. So we have 86,400 seconds a day. But since we spend some time of the day sleeping, so we process anywhere between 60 to 65,000 thoughts every single day. Now, imagine 60 to 65,000 thoughts, and Badra says 100 thoughts. If you're having 65,000 thoughts, it's so difficult to check the quality of your thoughts, right? And now, sadly, the psychologists say that 78% of our thoughts are negative. Wow. If 78% of our thoughts are negative and we keep everybody saying, think positive, be positive, and we are like, oh my God, there's so much of toxicity, there's so much of negativity. How can I be positive? Yes, of course. Being positive is a very, very difficult task, but it's something that we can all practice. They always say, what you practice, that is what you become good at. There was this gentleman who had this habit of overthinking and over worrying. He will worry for everything. And he used to keep worrying. So which means because he was worrying all throughout the day, he got so good with worrying. He became a pro in worrying that he started worrying about the buffalo that's not his. So what is important to remember is what you practice is what you get good with, isn't it? So if you practice something, that's what you become master, a pro, right? So if your quality of thoughts is like self-doubt, the universe says tatastu, keep doubting, and then you have the fear of doing anything in life. Oh, well, I'm not good enough, I can't do it, how will I do it, I will miss out all the opportunities that I get in my life because I'm scared. What if I'm not good enough? What if I'm not able to do it? What if I sound stupid? I'm not going to put any answers on the chat box. What if somebody says, oh my God, this lady or this man is so stupid? Does it matter if you were not being judged, or if you're in a zone where everything is okay, would you not have written everything on the chat box? The answer is yes. So what's important to do is to go around and check and practice something which is more empowering and enabling than to practice something which is more disempowering. So you have a choice. We all have a choice, and we are all alpha people and Gen Zs out here who says oh, मैं क्या करूं? I have to do it. No. मैं क्या करूं? I have to do it. No. It says I choose to do. I have a choice. We all have choices. It's how we exercise the choice which makes all the difference. Our life depends on all the choices that you have made in your life. All the decisions that you have taken for yourself, that defines the quality of your life. So if you operate out in fear, you end up losing up on multiple opportunities in life. So if you want those opportunities in life, you have to be coming out of your fear zone, isn't it? See, even fear is a choice. Either you forget everything and run, or you can face everything and rise. So you can decide for yourself whether I want to rise, whether I want to run. Look, we have a choice even while you are in fear, right? So important is to tell yourself that I'm okay, to give the permission to myself to remove all the kachra from my head, from my mind, which I have kind of created over a period of time, and fill it with something which is new and positive, which is more empowering, which is more good, which can make me more stronger, which can help me unleash my best version. Isn't that more beautiful, right? So take your choices of your life. If you are not afraid, that's what Sheryl Sandberg always asks this question. And these are very powerful, reflective questions. So please ask yourself, what would I do if I weren't afraid? And then go do it, right? अरे मुझे पानी से डर लगता है, मुझे हाइट से डर लगता है, मुझे स्टेज से डर लगता है, मुझे चैट बॉक्स में मैसेज डालने से डर लगता है, मुझे अपना फेस कैमरा में दिखाने के लिए डर लगता है, whatever. So you have all these narratives you need to keep changing. That's what they rightly say. Forget about comparing yourself with anyone. Just ask yourself, how do I compare myself from yesterday? Am I better than yesterday? Do I know at least 1% something more better than what I was in yesterday? Am I 1% more kinder from yesterday? Am I 1% more disciplined from yesterday? Trust me, if you were to just work on just that 1%, exactly 365 days from today, that's 1 year, that's like 29th of January 2026, you would be 38 times better in that aspect than today. Isn't that amazing? So you decide for yourself which is that one thing that you want to just keep working 1% extra from yesterday. Not Rome was never built in a day. So you're not going to become from a fearing to a fearless character in just overnight, right? It requires a lot of practice, because where your focus goes, that's exactly where your energy flows. And where your energy flows, that's exactly where the results shows. So where your focus goes, your energy flows, and that's the results shows. That's where results show. So you be mindful, where's your focus on throughout the day? Are you focusing on self-doubt? Then tatastu, you become so good with self-doubt that you will doubt everything. Even before you step out one step, you'll be like, oh my God, what if I get hurt? Oh my God, what if there's some danger lurking around? And you just don't explore what's there for you, right? So very important. I have this beautiful video for you. Quickly, let me ask you again this question. What happens at 211? Anybody knows what happens in 211? That's the boiling temperature for water. And what happens in 212? Just 1 degree above, the water turns into steam. And it's steam which is good enough to power an entire locomotive engine. The steam engine takes off. Okay, let's see this. So if you want to get something new, you need to do something new, right? Like Marshall Goldsmith says is very beautifully, if you keep doing what you have been doing, you will keep getting what you have been getting. So what got you here won't get you there. So you need to do something different to be there. So yeah, thank you, Karenissa. Okay, so that was a beautiful reminding space, for why it's important to literally work on everything that we have, to how important is to rework our narratives, how to reprogram our thoughts. The next E in Eureka is to evolve a growth mindset. Let me give you a classic example. Let me see if any one of you can tell me. This is like a riddle story. Okay. Now, this is the Sea of Galilee, and the other one is the Dead Sea. And both these seas, actually, these are not seas, these are rivers, but they've just named it as a sea. And both these rivers come from a same parent river, which is the river of Jordan. And all of them are in the same place in Palestine, Israel. It's in the same place geographically. Now, as the name suggests, in the Dead Sea, absolutely there's not even a single microorganism growing. But whereas the Sea of Galilee has the most beautiful flora fauna, it's having the thriving aquatic marine life. Why do you think, if there is the same parent river giving water to both these rivers, why is the nature of both these rivers so very different? Anybody would like to try? Why do you think the Dead Sea is dead and Sea of Galilee has the most thriving aquatic marine life? Anybody want to give a try before you say pass and I give you the answer? Bhadra, you want to try it? No answer? Okay. Let me go ahead and
No,
say.
can you say again? Can you repeat?
Do you know why the Dead Sea is dead, having no microorganism, and why the Sea of Galilee has a thriving population of aquatic marine life, though they both are from the same geographical location and from the same parent river, the river of Jordan?
Dead Sea has got the salt.
Yes, sir.
And
It has got salt. But why do you think it got so much of salt, though it's from the same river?
because of evaporation, the water evaporates and salt deposit.
Yeah. So why do you think that the evaporation or
There's,
that thing happens?
Madam, my
there's
answer
no
is
chance
Dead
of life.
Sea is scattered by the boundaries and did not flow, does not take new ideas in the fixed mindset. It is fixed one. While the another one is the flowing river. So new idea always come into the path to grow the new plants.
Absolutely, bingo. So you are on spot, right? Dead Sea it's a landlocked river. It doesn't have a place to flow, whereas the Sea of Galilee is a flowing river. So what happens because it does not get to flow? The water gets stored, stagnated over a period of time. And while it gets stagnated, the salt content keeps on depositing, and it becomes so high in salt that there is no chance that any microorganism can live there, survive. Whereas the other place, because it's a flowing one, everything thrives there. And it's exactly the same with how we can look at our own behaviors in nature. Either we are somebody who is stuck in our past. मेरे ज़माने में ऐसा होता था. This is how everybody taught me. So this has to happen. Many of the alpha children have problem with their Gen X parents. Oh, my parents are old school. My parents have got a fixed mindset. They don't grow. They don't understand where we come from, right? So that's a normal thing. It's important to keep asking ourselves, Now, even this alpha generation or Gen Z, after some time when they start growing old, their children are going to say, look, my father or mother is old school, because now we're going to have beta children there. So it's like an ongoing vicious cycle. Very important to keep checking on yourself. Where do you operate out from? Are you someone from the fixed or the growth mindset? Are you somebody who feels okay, if there is something that I'm not good at it, and you will tell, okay, I'm not good at it, I'm not going to do it because I'm not good at it? Or you're someone who says, I'm not good at it right now, but let me see if I can polish my skills and get good at it. Or am I someone who says, this will work like this only, this is the way it should work? Or you say, it used to work like that before, but let me see another way to make it work. Okay, I'm open to seeing it working it differently. So you have to ask yourself, where do you operate from? Do you operate from this side of being fixed, or you operate from evolving? And there are some things you might be fixed with, and there's something that you might be in evolving. But important is that change happens or growth happens in only the growth mindset. Otherwise, most of us are very comfortable in the comfort zone. We got our kursi and we make the kursi garam by being in the most beautiful place, which is called as a comfort zone. But comfort zone never saw any magic. You have to be outside the comfort zone in the effort zone. And how do you reach to the effort zone? क्योंकि comfort zone के बाहर क्यों कोई नहीं जाता है? Why nobody goes out? Because उसके बाहर क्या है? Fear zone. और ये कुछ हो गया तो अभी तो लाइफ सेट है, अभी मैं इधर से चेंज किया तो कुछ लफड़ा हो गया तो yeah, so you have so many questions. What if I do like this, then problem? What if I do like that, then some problem? And then you said छोड़ना, जिधर है मस्त है यार, खुश रहने का, happy रहने का, content रहने का, wherever we are good. And what do we do in the process is that we settle down for mediocrity. We settle down for average. We are not able to unleash the best version of us because you need to encounter the fear which is outside the comfort zone. And once you are overcoming your fear, you move to the next level, which is called as a learning zone, where you will learn, okay, come on, I have the fear. Let me try to overcome my fear. Or I don't know the skill set. Let me learn new skill sets. And only when you do, is that beautiful zone which is called as a growth zone awaits you. And that's where you see the magic, and that's where you see unfolding a new version of yourself. But you have to ask, am I okay to give it? People look, like somebody tells, come on, you need to do this. And you're like, oh, what's the reason? What's the need for doing that? But the moment you do that, you will find that there's the growth for you in every aspect. We stay comfortable. So ask yourself if you have a growth mindset and how do you endow. It's just like in Mind versus Wild. Bear Grylls tells flowing water is good to drink and any use while not. Yeah, absolutely right. Thanks for sharing it. I believe in growth. True. Thank you so much. So adopting a growth mindset, you need to keep telling yourself that I can learn from my mistake, not cry over my mistake. I can improve, not say, oh God, I can't do anything. I will never give up. Or you say, oh shit, I just don't want to do this. Or you say, I'm determined to go ahead and do my best. Self-reflection will always help me succeed. I can overcome any challenge with effort. But if I'm okay to put in that effort and I can reprogram my brain, I can train my brain. So most of the people, they operate from two lines, it's called as the above the line thinking or below the line thinking. Either you're somebody who will say, I am the one who will take the ownership, accountability, or the responsibility, or you're the one who will say, forget it, yaar. My life did not take on well because I'm putting the blame on my parents. They did not provide for me well. Or if I have umpteen excuses of why things did not go in my favor, I would have been there. But so many excuses comes in. So you're always in a denial form. So people who are in the BED, blame, excuses, and deny, they're always in a victim mindset. They are in the fixed mindset. But people who operate from an ownership, accountability, responsibility space, they say, oh, I own up for what I have made mistakes. I own up for the life that I have. I am responsible for where it is, the results that I have. So they operate out from results. The people in the bed operates out from reasons why in my life I was not successful. So unsuccessful people always have reasons and successful people always have results. So we have a choice. What's the choice? Get out of the bed and grab the oar, right? So move from blame, excuses, and denial to ownership, accountability, and responsibility. So now with that, we come to the second last bit of the alphabet, which is K. Know where you want to be. Okay, I'm going to quickly ask each one of you to either use your mobiles or to use your pad and pens if you have, notepad. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to give you a set of questions. You have two choices in each question. You can write down what you choose. Okay, quickly do that. Take up a notepad, pad even in your mobile if you don't have handy your pen and papers. On your mobile, you can just keep on typing your choices. So the first question here is, what's your choice? White or black? Go around and write your answer, white or black. Second is orange or apple. So write which from orange or apple would you choose? Up or down? Pink or green? Silk or cotton? Wheel or motor? National or international? I'm sure you would have written down the answers, right? Now I'm going to read out the answers. So if your answer and my answer matches, put across a tick, otherwise put across a cross. Okay, here we go. The first one is white is the right answer. Second one is orange is the right answer. Third one is up is the right answer. Fourth is green. Fifth is cotton. Sixth is wheel. Seventh is national. Anybody got a 7 on 7 right? Are you aligned absolutely with me? No. Badra smile says no. She's got a 6. Or let me see, someone says, so Kairunasa says that she is aligned with me with 7 on 7. So Kairunasa, I'm asking you, what is this? Which is white, orange, up, green, cotton, wheel, national. What do you think is it? I have some more people. Good. 4. ये क्या item है जिसके बारे में मैं बात कर रही हूँ जो सफेद है, orange है, up in the air है, green है, cotton है, wheel है, national है. Oh, so you do not know, but my favorite I just select, which is absolutely fine. Even selecting your favorite, we both are on the same page. So tell me, what is it? Just read through it and see what's white, what's orange. We just celebrated 26th January. So put your thinking hats and tell me, what is this object that I was indicating to? White, orange, up in the air, green, cotton, wheel, national. I
Flag.
think I'm seeing some answers. Oh, yay! You've got a national flag. Awesome. That's absolutely right. Now, if I have told you right at the start of the activity, I am talking about the Indian national flag, all the 30 participants would have got a 7 out of 7. But I just wanted to prove home a point that if you do not know where you have to go, you will never know if your answers are right or wrong, right? It's like Alice in Wonderland. When Alice is in the crossroads, she's at the crossroad and she asks the Catshire cat, where does this road go? The Catshire cat asks her, where do you want to go? And she's like, I don't know. Then he tells her, take any road. It'll take you somewhere, right? So one most important thing is that do you have the clarity that where do you want to go? Because if you don't have the clarity, you do not know whether your daily actions are taking you to the place where you need to be or is it taking you away, right? So very important to ask, are my daily actions taking me to my goal closer or is it taking me away from my goal? So very important element, know where you need to go. Have your goal clarity. And last but not the least is a beautiful example that you can see where you need to bring in the principle of adaptability. You will never see anybody as adaptable as this character. Of course, there are some, I've heard about an octopus, some squids down in the ocean who also changes the color or camouflages with the environment, just like a chameleon. So this is a fabulous story, okay? In the Central America, Honduras, there's this place which is famous for all kinds of storms and hurricanes. And they were very troubled because of all the hurricanes, and there was this Cholutaka River. And because of this Cholutaka River getting flooded, a lot of damage used to happen to the infrastructure, to the livestock, and to the lives of the people. So they decided to build a bridge over the Cholutaka River. Okay. In 1998, they built the Cholutaka Bridge, which was considered to be an engineering marvel. People came to check this out, like it's like one of the best engineering bridges that they have seen. But in 1999, there was a hurricane called as the Hurricane Mitch, and it came and had massive losses of livestock, infrastructure. Close to 7,500 people lost their life. Now, there was a very funny thing. The Cholutaka Bridge still stayed there, right? Nothing happened to the bridge because it was an engineering marvel. But a very funny thing happened. Now, the bridge, which was a bridge over the Cholutaka River, became a bridge to nowhere because suddenly the river which was flowing underneath the bridge changed its course of direction and started flowing somewhere else. And now the bridge becomes a bridge to nowhere. So very important lesson in life. It's not about being strong. It's more important to being adapt, right? If you're strong, but you're not able to be adaptable, there's no point, right? You serve no purpose. So adaptability, agility, flexibility, very, very critical. Ask yourself, are you good to be there? So that's Eureka for all of you, that with which you can unleash your best version. E stands for eliminating your self-limiting belief. U stands for uncovering your best version by pushing yourself and see how do you do. R stands for reprogramming your thoughts by working on the choices that you make in your life. E stands to evolve a growth mindset so that you're always in a growth zone. And K stands for knowing what is your goalpost like, and knowing that if you're moving towards your goal and your actions that you take defines that goal as well. And last, Eureka's A, adaptability is the key to everything that you have. So with that, we come to the fag end of the program and a very, very poignant message for everyone. If you are looking at someone else to come and put onto the plug for yourself, it's not happening. So get up, put the plug for yourself, recharge, and that's very important so that you can move on to the or uncover the best version of who you are. So welcome to the new you in 2025. We still have 11 months to have this beautiful discovery for ourselves and see how good we can be in January 2026. So get up, charge yourself, move on. That's it from my side, and I'm just going to stop sharing and I'm open to questions. And I think my time is also done. So yeah. I'm going to give the stage back to Bhadra. Thank you so much for having me here, and it was a real pleasure. And thanks for some of those ones who responded in. Thank you, Karenissa.
Yes, participants, you can ask your queries and doubts.
So I'm open for Q&As. Thank you, Piyush. I wish more of you would have interacted and participated. It would have been fun.
Madam, how to come out of comfort zone and start doing something and make the effort to achieve the purpose? How to come out of comfort zone?
It's a very nice question, Ghanshyam sir. So one of the most important thing that, as I said, outside the comfort zone is always a fear zone. So many a time you feel, what if I don't get there? What if I am not able to do that? What if I'm not good enough? What if I'm not able to do it? So a very important thing is once you are outside the comfort zone, just face your fears. Instead of running away and just getting back to your comfort zone, just face your fears and see, okay, if I'm not good enough in something, what can I do to become better in that? So what should I learn to get better at this? If I, for example, I'm not moving out of the comfort zone because I'm scared I may fail. And then ask yourself, what will I fail in? Why will I fail in? Because I don't have the requisite skills and I may fail. I don't have the trust or belief in myself. So then ask yourself, what can I do to build those skills? And that becomes a part of your learning zone. And when you build those skills, you will have no fear then. Then you're more than happy to move outside your comfort zone. Hope that helps.
Something more I want to say.
Yes, sir.
If a person is not capable of learning the skills, say somebody is a old person and he is not having the skill of playing cricket, or so he cannot learn that skill, so he will remain in the comfort zone. He will not come out to participate in a cricket or football or somewhere else.
Yes, sir, I hear you. So these are some of the narratives we keep telling ourselves, because I know there's a 90-year-old who's learning a new skill. I know there's a 95-year-old who's starting to challenge his body. So there are people, and age is just a number when it comes to learning something. I know there's a 75-year-old grandmother who just did her 4th standard, and then at 75 years, she goes to write her 10th standard exams. I mean, she had never done anything after she completed her 4th standard. So probably she just moved out of her comfort zone, faced the fear. She thought, I may not be able to do. Everything is so changed from the curriculum that I learned, but she made that effort. So I feel when we give ourselves a narrative that we can't do it, we stay in the fixed zone. We have our own excuses and reasons. So we need to stop giving ourselves the reasons or the excuses why we can't do it. You need to build up the reasons why and how I will do it. So I think we have to change there has to be a shift in how we address this. Instead of operating out from bed, we should take up the ownership and say, of course I can learn. I have the capacities, I have the capabilities to learn. Why not? What stops me? I'm stopping myself probably. So it's a narrative that we need to work on. That's in my honest opinion, the way it works. Yeah. Like for example, sir, this is a mobile, and if I tell my grandmother to operate the mobile, she will find it difficult because there were no phones or anything in her time. But if my grandmom has this wanting to connect with her great grandchildren where they're staying abroad and do video calls and video chats and write messages, she goes outside the comfort zone to learn everything about how this mobile works. Even if it's outside the comfort zone, even if it's very troubling, she will just do it because she has a strong purpose to come out of the comfort zone and tell, well, I have a purpose. I want to learn this because I want to keep in touch. So even the story that we tell why we want to do certain things makes a lot of difference. So somebody might be thinking, मैं पढ़ के क्या करूँ? कुछ है ही नहीं, तो फिर बोलेगा मेरे को पढ़ना ही नहीं होता. I'm not good with my learning tool. That's also how it works. We also have to be mindful of where we want to go, what's in it for us. You tie it down with that.
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So I have Dr. Premanand saying how to identify the activities, energize, suggest any AI to monitor my activities on daily basis for energizing. So Dr. Premanand, can you unmute yourself and ask this question? Then I get a little bit of perspective to this question.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chiji. And I just gone through this Eureka. It's really interesting. And just a question, it's comes to my mind asking for you.
Yeah.
Nowadays, the people are not talking each other and they are talking only with the mobiles. And they are talking about the software, which is sometimes people are getting somebody loneliness. People are working in some abroad. They are working in the workplace where they are not getting energized. Energize is something that what kind of an activity that we can do for it and getting energized. And do you have any AI tool that to monitor my activities in the daily basis for energizing me for the longer run? That's my question.
Okay, so are you talking about mental energizers?
Yeah, of course. That's a kind of a tool that because everybody is looking out of the mobile. So what happens? That's something which helps us to energize ourselves, to motivate, to follow some superb session that you handle for Eureka. That then some has to be motivated. But you said that rightly point on nobody can motivate you until you motivate yourself. But more than that, we
Yeah.
expect somebody to motivate. That is a paradigm that normally it happens. See,
So
normally
that's
if
a
you have
very
been
excellent question, sir. Of course, today we have access to a lot of podcasts. We have access to a lot of TED Talks. So even if there is nobody who is live there, you can always listen to motivational stuff. You can watch motivational stuff. But you know what? I think what is one sustainable mode of energizing mentally? Have you observed that when you do things which you love the most, you suddenly feel a spurt of energy in your body?
yes, of course.
Yeah. So that's exactly what I always encourage everyone. Have one hobby or a task that you love to do and do that on a daily basis. So that keeps your mental energy always high. I love to talk to new people, and when I talk to new people, I find my energy. Everybody's energies are different. Everybody's source of energies are different. My source of energy comes from an interaction which is intellectually stimulating. When I have an intelligent conversation with a person on the other side, I feel energized for the whole day. Or when I pick up my saxophone and I learn a new musical note, I feel energized. So pick up on a hobby or pursue a hobby that's going to keep your energy sustainable for the long run. That which keeps you feeling wow about yourself because you're doing something out of passion, which you're doing out of love. Because love in itself is a very powerful energy. So if you're doing something what you love, you don't need to go outside for any kind of motivation. Most of the time, this fast paced, very, very hectic lifestyles, we forget the things to do the things which we love the most. We have to prioritize and make time to do that. Otherwise, we burn out, we get fatigued and tired very soon. So it's most important to pick up something which you love to do on a daily basis. For someone, friend of mine, it's reading 10 pages of a self-help books that keeps him recharged. Or for one of my another friend, it's just basically cooking is a therapy for her. She cooks up something nice and she feels energized.
Yeah, that's good. But actually, when people who are like a social kind of a people, like social personality, so like you and me, I think I also love people to talk with me along. But nowadays, what happens? People are not ready to talk with us too much on rather than the mobile. So now, what is your advice that we have as a secondary hobby that we can take it up for? Listening music or reading books that will be really helpful for a materialist to do. Thank you so much that you have watched me and in order to get it into Eureka format. Thank you.
Thank you always. So I guess we have already exceeded the time limit. Yes, Badra, over to you. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. Any more queries, anyone? Okay, so I hope no one has any queries and we can wind the session. So, on behalf of the organizing committee, I would sincerely like to thank Siji Verghese ma'am, our outstanding speaker for today. We had the chance to hear a very fascinating and thought provoking conversation about how to unleash your best version today. So, through her remarkable ability to convey information, ma'am has left us with insightful discoveries and motivational concepts. And her engaging lecture has enthralled us and motivated us to study more. And we appreciate the time and the effort ma'am put into organizing this educational program. And thank you, everyone. And some key takeaways is that something that I loved is the meaning of fear. Fear has two meanings. So that was a very enthralling experience. And also about Eureka, how you decoded that word and made us motivated. So we absolutely loved your session, ma'am.